Gonna avoid it. For those of you that have been following my channel for a few years now, you're probably well aware that I used to work at Wilderness Trail Bikes, WTB, and I'm still a big fan of their tires. That said, Jensen actually asked me if I'd be willing to try out some modern Maxxis tires, and I literally jumped at the opportunity. I really like the WTB tires, but I hear so many good things from all of you about the Maxxis tires. I thought, hey, this is a great way to try something different. I know Maxxis tires are top-notch, and I really want to get some more modern experiences with the current crop of these things. So I went ahead and did it. I want to give a big thanks to Jensen USA for sponsoring this video. Thank you, Jensen. I have a link to the Maxxis tires over at Jensen USA in the description below. Anything you purchase while you're at Jensen will directly help support my channel. It's how we make these videos happen. Before we do jump into the video, since I'm going to talk about bikes and bike parts here, I want to let you know I am proudly supported by the fine folks at, of course, Jensen, but also Industry 9, P&W Components, and Shimano. When it comes to tires, I do get a lot of WTB tires by asking them if they can kick something down, and often they have things available and they send them. Recently, stock has been very limited for not just WTB, but everyone in the bike industry. So I bought some WTB tires recently, and I also bought these Maxxis tires. It's hard in the wind. Since I do a lot of work with Jensen, I'm not always paying full retail price since I'm doing work for these companies, but I'm still putting my skin in the game and paying for this stuff. So with that said, I'm blown away. I'm really enjoying these Maxxis tires a lot. Before we get into the models I'm riding, when it comes to the casing type, Maxxis has a bunch of different types out there. A lot of bikes come stock with the Exo Trail. I don't know even the TPI of Exo Trail, and I think there's different types of Exo. I don't know, but I can't ride Exo. Whenever I ride Exo, I get flat tires. Oh! I knew that was gonna happen. Maxxis makes a good product. Nothing against Maxxis, but this is a 50+ pound e-bike and they spec'd Exo casing tires. So, sidewall destroyed. If they'd used double down Maxxis tires, we'd probably be fine. We'd be having fun, getting good GoPro footage over there, doing wheelies, hitting jumps, high fives, maybe even eating snacks. But instead, we're here fixing a flat tire. I'm used to riding WTB's Tough casing, which is 2 levels of 60 TPI casing. When it comes to TPI, that stands for threads per inch, as far as I understand it. So if you have 60 TPI, you have 60 threads, the rest of that material is rubber. Rubber is a lot stronger than the thread, it's a little nylon thread. So the Maxxis tires I'm running here have 2 layers, again, of 120 TPI. That's a lot less rubber and a lot more cord than what the WTB setup has. So the difference on the trail, how this matters is the double down 120 TPI 2 layers is a little bit more compliant. It's not quite as strong when you come to just smashing into rocks. I have a big slice on my back tire that I'll have to show you. It hasn't lost any air because there are 2 levels there, so I made it through one, but the second one is strong enough to hold it, and it's been going like that for over a month now. I haven't gotten a single flat with the double down, and I've not been gentle with these tires, so I'm turning into a fan of the double down. Weight-wise, it's probably a little lighter than the WTB. I don't know, I don't care. It's not enough to make my life any different. I give a thumbs up to double down casing. It's strong enough, it's not too crazy heavy, and the compliance thing, honestly, with the WTB 60 TPI and the Maxxis 120, the Maxxis might be just a touch more compliant, but it's not a big deal. With mountain bike tires, you're running such a low pressure. I'm running about 24 in front and about 26 in back. I'll drop down to like 22, 24 if it's real sloppy and muddy out. But at these lower pressures, you know, compliance due to sidewall type isn't that big of a deal. Your tire pressure is more what you notice. So onto the models. I've got 3 different Maxxis models I've been jumping between. I picked an Ascii for the front. It's a 2.5 WT wide trail. I've got a 31mm inner width rim that I'm using for all these Maxxis tires. I really do like the Ascii. Cornering, leaned over with my style, it hooks up awesome. I was really surprised with that. The WTB tires that I've been using are generally 2.6s, and going down to the 2.5, I thought I'd give up a little bit, but not really. It's been really good. So the braking traction on the front wheel has been similar to the WTB Vigilante 2.6, maybe a touch less when conditions are very loose, but it's been predictable, and I have zero regrets for going for the Ascii up front. And I have an Ascii on the front of this Ripmo V2. I also have one on the front of the Yeti SB130, and also on the front of the Orbea Occam. I'm a big fan of the Ascii. Soon here, I'll try one in back as well, but I generally prefer to have a little bit smaller tire in back that'll drift a little bit sooner than the front tire. Because if you have the same tire front and rear, a lot of times what'll happen is the front tire will start to slip and drift before the back, and that's not a fun feeling. If you've experienced a front tire drift from the back tires hooked up, drop a note in the comments what you thought of that. To me, it is terrifying. Let's move to the back of the bike. So with the WTB tires, I really do like two different rear tires. I really like the Trail Boss 2.6, and then on the bikes where I'm running a tad smaller tire, the Judge 2.4 is awesome. So in the Maxxis world, the Trail Boss and the Aggressor are probably the closest two. I've started riding this Aggressor in the summer when it was very hard packed, dry and dusty, and it rolls phenomenally well. When it comes to cornering, with my leaned over style, the Aggressor does very well too. I would put it neck and neck with the Trail Boss. Good rolling resistance, good cornering. So when it comes to traction on steep, loose climbs, I think the Aggressor might give up like 2% traction-wise to the Trail Boss. And you know, I'm riding a Trail Boss 2.6. The Aggressor, I think, is a 2.5. So the Trail Boss, it's 1/10 of an inch bigger. That's pretty small. But I do have more traction with the rear tire with that 2.6 Trail Boss than the 2.5 Aggressor, but it's not that big of a deal. I can still make it up plenty of loose, slippery, slimy, challenging climbs with the Aggressor. The Aggressor gives up just a touch as well when you come into braking traction, but not enough that I'm losing sleep over it. It's been raining for like a month now here in Washington, and I have not bothered swapping out either the Aggressors off the Ripmo or the Yeti because they're still working really well. So yeah, I know my tried and true Trail Boss might have a touch more traction. It's also a totally different feel. So the comparison between what I've been riding, the WTB and the Maxxis is a little bit smaller. The overall volume is a bit less than the Maxxis, and that's actually a bit of an advantage on the more flowy bike park style trails closer to where I live. When you're hitting a bunch of jumps and fast corners and stuff, a little bit smaller tire is a touch more predictable. You're less likely to burp it off your rim too. So I'd probably say I prefer the WTB just slightly on the more rough, natural stuff. And then on more traditional mountain bikey trails, the Maxxis are hard to beat, but it's very close. I still have the 2.6 WTB setup on my Evo offering, and I prefer it there because that bike has such a low bottom bracket. The 2.6 tires help lift the whole bike up. The final tire I want to mention is the Minion DHR2. That's on the back of the Orbea Occam. It has noticeably better braking performance than the Aggressor. What I should do is put DHR2s on the backs of all my bikes for the wintertime. Now the DHR2 does not roll as fast as the Aggressor. You give up a little, you get a little, yada, yada, yada. But that DHR2 feels pretty similar to the Judge, and if you look at them, the knob patterns are pretty similar. I really like that DHR2. It's very predictable. You got great cornering traction, great braking traction, and on the steeper climbs, it can really dig in and get a lot of bite. More bite than the WTB Trail Boss. Maxxis has a ton of other tires out there. I've never ridden a Dissector. I've never ridden a Shorty. I really don't like the DHF. I know the Minion DHF is like the most famous, most popular tire ever. I don't get along with it. I lean the bike too much in corners and it washes out too quickly for me. So that's just factor of my riding style. Many people that stay more upright and turn with the handlebars, they love that DHF, and it's a very valid, very good tire, but the Ascii I much prefer over the Minion DHF. And even the Minion DHR2 in front works better for me than a DHF. If you guys want to see more videos about the other Maxxis tires I haven't tried, if you enjoyed this and found it helpful, leave me a note below. If you've ridden Maxxis tires yourself or WTB and you want to add your own feelings and comparisons for your locale, feel free to share that too. I think we have lots of good resources in the comment sections and most of these videos here. The changing of seasons is a great time to throw some new rubber on your bike. It's one of the most effective ways to dial your bike in for the particular seasons on hand. So if you're still running some dry, clapped out tires from the summer, definitely treat yourself to some proper, soft, tacky rubber. I'm running the Max Terra rubber on all these tires. It's been great. Jensen has a pretty good stock of Maxxis tires at the moment. Tires are hard to get from Asia, so If you can find them, swoop them up. I have a link to all 3 tires that I've been riding down below. I can't guarantee they're gonna be in stock right now, but check those links often. It'll help me out. And yeah, treat yourself to some tires. Life's short, have traction, smile more. Thank you guys for watching. Couldn't be here without all of your support. Thanks to Jensen for sponsoring this. Do me a favor, hit that red subscribe button, and I'll see you guys down in the comments. Peace.